How would you assess the defence talks that occurred today?
Well, it's as always some more positives, let's say, topics, and then some topics which have to be more discussed. And eventually, it's important that we have a progress regarding Ukraine. We have an understanding what we need to do regarding the defense readiness of Europe. So in that regard, I would say that it was a good meeting.
But what else needs to be discussed?
Well, first of all, of course, when we talk about defense readiness, then is one of the critical questions, what is the capability and what is the capacity of defense industry. So we had a meeting also with the European defense industry. So we clearly understand that they need to know what is the trajectory and that what will be the money which will be put into the defense for the next decades to come. And on the other hand, the governments want to have more and more and then more quickly. So the pace has to be there. And obviously, this is one of the topics. But on the other hand, in Europe, you always have some new regulations. So when we talk about the procurements, we want to have more simplified procurements, which are easy to implement and very agile. So many things to discuss. And of course, Strait of Hormuz, Middle East in general, is the question: do we continue with the current operations like Aspides, or do we need to create something new? French-UK initiative is there. So many important topics.
Is Estonia ready to defend itself?
Estonia is always ready to defend itself, and then Estonia is ready to defend the Europe. So we are keeping the front door closed. We've always said that the front door of Europe starts in Estonia, in Finland, in Latvia, in Lithuania, in Poland. So we need to keep the eastern flank safe. And then this is why we always said also that the Eastern Flank Watch, as one of the most important initiatives, has to be one of the priorities also in the future MFF.
I mean, you mentioned Latvia there, but of course we saw the defence minister resigning on Sunday following the failings of those, not stopping those drones that entered Latvian airspace last week. How confident are you that Estonia is prepared for incursions like this if they were to come?
Well, first of all, nobody is 100% bulletproof. We see that also in Ukraine. Ukraine has been fighting with the drones already more than 4 years in a full-scale war, and then before that there was no drones. But still, it is a very complex and very difficult issue. And then when we come to Latvia, I believe that it was not basically the main reason why my colleague had to resign. So it's the question of politics. And the elections are approaching in Latvia, so it's more or less something we have seen in Latvia already for a couple of months, that the relations inside of the coalitions are not in the best condition.
And the meeting today also centred on that €90 billion loan for Ukraine, some of that, of course, going towards that country's defences. But we saw the news come in overnight that Zelensky's chief of staff has been entangled in a corruption scandal. How can you be confident that any EU funds won't be misappropriated?
Well, we need to have the accountability in place, so there is no question. But we also have a very good understanding what the needs of Ukraine are. So there is also a new Minister of Defense who has been in the office for a couple of months or a bit more, so half a year, and definitely he is responsible for that, to show also not only to Ukrainians and to Ukrainian army, but also to us that this money what we are providing to, and this assistance we are providing to Ukraine, that this assistance will be also invested to their defense in the maximum way.
But don't you think it's a bad look that as Ukraine continues to ask the EU for money, there are more officials within those senior cabinet positions that are embroiled in scandals like this?
Well, I believe it is definitely something Ukrainians are looking into very seriously, because it's also important for them that there are no rumors or no problems involved with that kind of assistance, because at the end of the day they need to get the support up and running for next years to come, and then even when the war will be over, or if the war will be over, then Ukrainians still need our assistance, our help, so to rebuild Ukraine and to help them to be a normal European country. So this is why it is first and foremost for the Ukrainians to show for their own people and for us that everything is in a good shape.
And obviously we've touched on some of the more formal parts of the agenda, but of course the chatter on the red carpet here is that ongoing discussion of whether the EU should speak to Russia if negotiations with Ukraine were to occur. Who do you think should be that spokesperson for Europe?
Well, it's too early to talk about that. Definitely not Gerhard Schröder. And definitely for us it is important to understand that first we need to help Ukraine to win the war. So the victory has to be there, or at least to put them to the position that these negotiations between Ukraine and Russia are on the parity level or are on the equal level. Let's say so. The second, when we talk about the normalization, or let's say normalization of the relations between Russia and Europe, then the key is not in Europe. So the key is in the Kremlin, and the key is held by Putin. So when they are ready, or if they are ready to be a normal country again, where they are not violating any human rights, where they are not punishing people just like that, where they are not throwing people out, or where people can also, let's say, smoke on the balcony. So this is up to Russia to be a normal country, because at the moment there is nothing to talk about it.
Absolutely. So what I'm hearing from you is that the conversation isn't there yet, but do you think that the former Estonian Prime Minister, Kaja Kallas, of course, the EU's top diplomat, her name has been floated in the corridors of power as someone that could be up for the job? What do you think? Is it for her to do, for her to speak to Putin?
Well, she's a high representative of European Commission. So that means that by work agenda, this is one of her jobs, to talk to foreign countries. Is it Russia or not? So but again, I believe that it's not the time to talk about it. First, we have to concentrate on helping Ukraine, because everybody would like to talk about any different or every different topic, but that brings us away from the focus what we need to do, and then what we need to do is to concentrate on the Ukraine military assistance.
Thank you so much.